Josh Allen failed us, I feel like, as a podcast. I'm not going to lie. We talked about how much we were rooting for them. I said I was considering painting my face Bills colors. I did not do that. I'm really glad I didn't do that after this overtime loss. They lose to the Broncos 33-30. Bo Nix outplays Josh Allen. Josh Allen turns the ball over 4 times. He threw 3 picks and fumble. 2 picks and fumbled twice. So he turned the ball over 4 times. And that's kind of the backbreaker, honestly. A couple times it felt like they were going to take momentum, and then he fumbles, he throws a pick. Even the crucial early in the game is James Cook fumble. They had the ball, and it felt like I think they were up 3, maybe looking to make it a 2-possession lead.
Yep.
And he fumbles the ball right back to the Broncos. And so the Broncos end up winning this game, but they immediately get hit with the bad news that Bo Nix broke his ankle, and so he's not going. And another Auburn legend will take the reins, and Jared Stidham. But y'all's thoughts on this game? What do y'all see?
Yeah, apparently it wasn't immediately. Like, I was listening to Check the Mic with Steve Palazzolo and Sam Monson, and Sam was saying that Peyton did his post-game press conference, walked into his office, had a talk with one of his assistant coaches, I guess, and then walked back out and was like, oh, and by the way, I just found out Bo Nix is out for the season. Like, the press conference was over. Like, it's, it's kind of like the transfer portal or even high school commitments. Like, when you hear something, you don't believe it until, like, down to the very end. Like, I feel like Bronco fans are going to feel that way going forward about just games in general. Like, oh, I won't feel safe until the next day, like 24 hours later. Like, that's how I feel about, like, I won't feel safe about high school commitments until they're on campus. I feel like now Broncos fans might be scarred to be like, I won't feel safe until the game's been over for 48 hours.
Sure.
Like, that's, I feel like, the kind of trauma that would induce as far as fandom goes.
My favorite stat from this game is the Bills didn't punt. So you moved the ball pretty well, except for turning the ball over 5 times, and that'll cost you. But they didn't punt. The Broncos punted 4 times, and the Broncos still win.
Yeah, the first team in NFL history to score 30 points in a playoff game, not punt and lose. For me, I think you go down this game in a non-chronological order, and I think firstly I want to talk about the Brandon Cooks play, and I do want to start with, first of all, I have zero problem with the ruling on the field.
I think it's the correct call.
I think it should be ruled an interception. Because by the rule book, it makes a ton of sense. You think about the whole like survive the ground thing.
Yeah.
Brandon Cooks has to survive the ground there. He's not rolling out of bounds, so it's a little bit different there. But even still, like rolling out of bounds, you still have to survive the ground. So I'm okay with everything that was being ruled there.
Yeah, I got something to add because I actually feel pretty passionate about this. I love the ruling. I'm not even fine with it. I love it.
Yes,
because it can be a little inconsistent at times. You know how they call that, but it was the right call. And I'm sick and tired of receivers getting like just bodied by the DB, or the DB just like basically taking the receiver's lunch. But since the receiver's the receiver and the DB's the defensive player, the receiver just kind of gets bailed out of like, well, he had it for a second. And like I've seen it so many times, you know, they're fighting and it comes down and the DB comes up and he's holding the football and then they're like, you know, oh no, it's a catch, or oh no, it was just incomplete. Yeah, I'm just kind of tired of receivers getting bailed out, honestly, for like not protecting the football. And the DB, I feel like a lot of times makes, and sometimes the DB comes up holding the football and clearly, you know, they grabbed it 4 seconds after the play was over. Like it's not accurate.
Like the wide receiver just let go because he's like, I'm down. Like,
but I genuinely think there are some times where I'm like, I truly believe that the DB makes the play, the DB finishes the play, the receiver like gets beat, the receiver gets the ball ripped away from him, but because he's the receiver, there's like, no, it was a catch. So like I'm more than happy. Like Brandon Cooks just don't get big broed. Just you know, ball security is job security. So I loved it personally.
Yeah, what I'm not okay with though is 2 things with this. Firstly, is why is this play not looked at? Why is it not reviewed? Why is it not fully reviewed? It is literally in the rule book that all turnovers and scoring plays are subject to some review. Why is the one that is the most important in the entire game, the one that can cause such a disagreement with the public, such a disagreement between teams, that why is this not looked at under the hood? Why does the referee not go take a look at this? Why doesn't New York take a deeper look at this? That is a huge issue that I have. For them to spend as much time as they do on some plays that are in the second quarter that have no meaning, why is this not just fully reviewed. It's overtime. It's 3rd and 10. And because it's literally a rule that in overtime all reviews are subject to the boost's discretion, the fact that Sean McDermott can't even challenge the flipping call is also stupid too. I think you should be able to challenge it and have another review. We've had instances this year where we've used expedited review. We've had the ruling on the field. They've changed it with the expedited review. We've challenged it, and the challenge changed the ruling of the expedited review to the ruling on the field originally. That has happened this year in the NFL. So why can't Sean McDermott challenge it?
Sure.
That's a huge
I think that's
problem
fair.
for me. My second issue is precedent. And I at first, like I said, I agree with the ruling on the field. It should be ruled that way. But when you have a play like you did in the Ravens-Steelers game 2 months ago where a ball is popped up, Rodgers secures the ball, has it ripped away from him as he's going to the ground, how can that be ruled possession for him and this not be ruled a catch for Cooks? It's literally the same thing. And then when you have a play literally last year in the AFC Championship game where Xavier Worthy has one hand on the football and Cole Bishop has the entire football, how is that ruled a catch for Xavier Worthy, but it's not ruled a catch here in this instance for Brandon Cooks? It's consistency there. When you set a precedent on a call like that, and this is all within one calendar year. This is not like going back deep into NFL history. When we've been told our entire lives when it comes to baseball, when it comes to football, tie goes to the runner, tie goes to the offense. Why is that not used for this call? Why do also those plays get extensive reviews? That's precedent right there. Those plays got reviewed for 5+ minutes. Both times we had to bring in our rules analysts just so they can agree with the call on the field because I don't know why they get paid anymore. Why does this one not get that full review? That's breaking precedent. Those are two things I have significant problem with. When you literally have rulings that are the exact same thing and you rule them possession for the offense and then you come here in this one and you change the ruling, albeit the correct ruling, they should have all been correct in the first place. It's breaking precedent. And I think it's so stupid, and it your heart breaks for Buffalo because that completely ends the game. It's a 3rd and 10 completion. They're in field goal range. Next score wins the game, and now they want to come and change precedent and not do an expedited or not do a full review, which is changing precedent. Both of those things are purely it's stupid. I hate that happened, and it shouldn't happen, and it can't happen in this game. It can happen week 17 between the 2-14 Browns and 2-14 Cardinals.
That game could have number 1 pick implications on the line.
Yeah.
Though. That could really
2-14
matter.
Browns
Chiefs
and the
and
6-11 Chiefs.
There you go.
Yeah, that works.
Whatever you want it to be, that can happen then. But when this is nationally televised, literally because it's on CBS, and all of America is watching this game, you can't have mistakes like this because it just puts so much tarnish on your league. You put when the officials are questioned in terms of their loyalties to teams, their way about doing things, and their calls, their judgment calls, it puts your sport into a ton of question. It hurts the fans. It hurts the sport. Chiefs' dominant run was great, and a large part of that was their play. But at the same time, there were also judgment calls, a ton of them, that went their way. It hurts your sport. It tarnishes the integrity of the game, and that's the most important thing. So I hate those two things about the play, in a play where I literally agree with the call on the field. Those two things can't happen. But all of that put aside, it shouldn't even be the biggest talking point because Josh Allen unfortunately lost in this game, and you can tell he understands that with the way that he reacted post-game compared to everybody else. Jack and I had an argument of why is Josh Allen so beloved. It's because he doesn't question officiating. He literally did not. He has perspective, and he knows what he can control in a game, and he failed at it. 5 team turnovers, 4 total for Josh. For me, I think the most impactful one was the first fumble by James Cook because it's 7-3. At that point in the game, they're driving. They literally go up 14-3.
Yeah.
The other 4 later in the game, you could argue they have more impact. But for me, I think momentum-wise, those two had the most impact. But the first fumble by James Cook takes 3 points off the board. They in field goal range at least. The Allen fumble at the end of the half directly leads to 3 points for Denver. The Allen fumble to start the second half directly leads to 3 points for Denver. And Allen, when he threw the first pick, was in field goal range, and it takes 3 points off the board. The last pick, I don't think it equates to anything by my estimation in terms of points, even though Denver scored off of that. So that's 12 points for sure. And that just can't happen in a playoff game. That is the reason you lose a game by 3 instead of win a game by 9. You take those two, you take all of the turnovers, especially, off the board. Buffalo wins by 2 touchdowns. They were the best team that day. They had a 450 yards on an elite defense on the road with short rest. They had 6 days rest compared to Denver, who had 12 days rest. They were better on third down and great on third down in general. They were 10 for 15 on third down against Denver. Now, 4 of those were Josh Allen tush pushes.
Still counts.
But still counts. It's still dominant. They ran for 183 on the ground on the second best run defense in the league, a week removed from them not being able to run the football at all against the best rush defense in the league. Allen throws for 3 touchdowns. They were more efficient in the red zone than Denver was. They had a 12-minute time of possession edge, but a culmination of what their season was held back by was shown again on Saturday, and that's turnovers. It's something we talked about all year. They had 3 against New England and a loss, 2 against Atlanta and a loss, 3 against Miami and a loss, 3 against Houston and a loss, and then 1 against Philly, the goofiest of them all, where Josh Allen fumbles the ball backwards 30 yards down the field, and it ends up in points for Philly. You change 2 of those games, you win the division. You change just the New England game in general, you win the division because you have the same record and a 2-0 head-to-head advantage.
Yeah.
You change 3 of those games to the number 1 overall seed. There's really only one game, I'd argue, this year where you could argue against that and say, oh, change one play, it changes the game, the week 1 against Baltimore. And so 5 games that you could just change if you just took away the turnovers. It was a failure of a season. It leads towards Sean McDermott being fired, rightfully so, in my opinion.
Do you think they also should have fired the GM?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I don't necessarily fully agree with Buffalo fans in terms of, they've failed on all of their draft picks, like literally every single one. No, like Cole Bishop has been great. Greg Rousseau has been really, really good. Khalil Shakir was a great find. And they have other guys that are starters for them that played critical snaps this year due to injuries. Now, you missed on Keon Coleman, sure. You missed on a few other guys, sure, but they've found enough draft picks.
Yeah, Keon Coleman's the biggest miss.
Absolutely. So I would have fired Brandon Beane as well. Instead, he gets promoted, and he'll decide on who's going to be the next head coach going forward as Sean McDermott gets fired. McDermott coached for 9 years, led them to the playoffs 8 times, was 8-8 in his playoff record. He was 90-55 as a head coach overall, and of course led them to the postseason for the first time in 16 years, the year before Josh Allen. So, there's argument for him to continue coaching there, but I think the biggest one is like, the only way you can argue that he could get to continue to coach is if you think eventually he's going to get them over the hump. And I think at this point it's pretty hard to argue that, so I think it's worth taking the risk on someone else getting you over the hump than it is to continue with Sean McDermott. It feels like the definition of insanity, if you ask me.
Yeah.
What has cost Allen in pretty much every playoff game except this one against Cincinnati, and then his first playoff game, has been the fact that their defense has given up 30-plus points.
Yep.
This one is included in that, although I think 12 points were handed to them from their own offense. But
the defense didn't play very well, though, either, I would argue. Bo Nix was just chilling back there. The lack of pass rush was pretty evident for most of the game. But I agree he needs to be fired. It is funny because I feel like this season was probably one of his better coaching jobs. But it's like at this point, it's just been so long. It's time to move on. Even if maybe this one wasn't directly your fault, it's just how it goes. It's a results-based league, so got to get it done at some point. Well done, Denver. I guess we can pivot to the other side.
yeah,
You take care of home field advantage. You win the game. Maybe not the prettiest of wins. I mean, it went to overtime, but you're playing Josh Allen. It's kind of a scary sight. And not only were you playing Josh Allen, you come up with the win, but you made him be the reason that the Bills lose. And so it's a job well done on that front. It sucks that Bo Nix goes down with the injury. One, because it kind of effectively ends your hopes of winning the Super Bowl. I guess you could say crazy thing has happened. I mean, Nick Foles himself was tweeting about how backup QBs have a good history against the Patriots in the playoffs.
Yep. And Jarrett Stidham has a good preseason career.
Shout out Jarrett Stidham with his good preseason career. But me as a non-fan, it just kind of sucks because now it's like we'll never truly know what this team could have done with their starting QB. It is just brutal. It is what it is, though. At the same time, there's no way around it. I guess is what I'm trying to say. I can't go. You can't go give Bo Nix a new ankle.
Yeah, I'll say this: if there was any team in the playoffs that I think could overcome losing a quarterback, I feel like it was this team of the Texans, right? Just because the offense has not been what carried the team.
I trust in Drew Lock a lot, personally.
And all right, that's bold.
I'm gonna make an argument for Mac Jones
Sure.
in a little bit too.
Okay, that's fair. So maybe that's a bad take. That's a bad take by me.
They are fairly well equipped though
Yeah.
to lose a quarterback. It's not like they're the Bills where imagine if the Bills won this game and then it comes out Josh Allen broke his ankle.
He'd play.
We're literally people are true. He popped his Achilles. He physically
He's
can't-
rolling out there on a scooter.
He physically cannot play. He's so badly concussed. The doctors will have locked him in his room,
Bubble wrap.
and aren't letting him out there.
No, yeah.
People be begging the commissioner to change the score and put someone else in the game.
Yeah.
So it's not that scenario. I do get what you're saying, but I think there's a couple teams that would be semi-equipped to do so.
I thought it was a great win for Bo, and that is he played.
I think he had
outstanding.
I think he was the best QB of this round.
Yeah, that's kind of. I think so too, and it's kind of inarguable.
Now there weren't tons of great QB performances, but he still was the best of the round. So
He
shout
was.
out to him.
It's obviously devastating to suffer the ankle injury, but Denver. We talked about this in the preview. It was where are they going to get running game success? They didn't get any. 10 carries for 41 yards from their two running backs. Bo was far from efficient, but Sean Payton put him in very favorable spots in key moments, and he and they were able to take advantage of something they have all season. That's long moon balls that are either caught or force a PI. Of course, it leads to his game-winning drive where it had 50-plus yards of penalties. But it does speak to the confidence that you can have in that quarterback that he's going to throw those balls down the field, and they're not going to be intercepted. They're going to have really no fear of being intercepted. When Josh Allen pushed it down the field, he threw picks in this game. He threw 2 of 9
on deep balls, Josh Allen was.
Yeah, exactly. So Bo, even though they weren't completions, to have the confidence in him to go into that spot and make him throw the football down the field, speaks to their connection, him and Sean Payton. It's devastating to suffer the ankle injury, of course. But I thought he played great. I thought he answered to a lot of the haters. Now he's played one playoff game at home and one on the road. One was bad and one was a fine game for the most part. Didn't lose them the game by any degree. So I still think the jury's out. If we're going to use the Herbert language, anything's possible with him. Buffalo at one point in this game had a win probability of 83%. And that came in the same half, the second half, where Denver had a win probability of 90%. This game was unbelievably crazy.
All over the place. That's what turnovers will do, man.
Turnovers are insane. The 83% came when Buffalo had the ball first and 10 near the red zone, up 24-23. And then Denver had a 90% chance when Josh Allen fumbled it to start the second half. Sean Payton's now 5-0 in the playoffs off of bye. Denver's now won 14 of the last 15 at home. They added +3 to their sack differential, which is still the best in the league, sacking Allen 3 times, and Bo was perfectly protected the entire day. I'm not even sure if he was pressured more than 5 times in the entire game, and that's even with Buffalo blitzing a lot in this game. It's a great, great win for Denver. I do think they're very live next week against New England. I'll tell you, I don't care what the spread is. I'm going to bet them to cover. Given the way Drake May played this weekend in another game where he continues to drop the ball, literally. I do think it's really anyone's game in Denver next week. And then even looking forward to the Super Bowl, it's really anything's possible. No one expected what Nick Foles did. Now, Nick Foles did it over an extended run because Carson Wentz tore his ACL with like 3 or 4 weeks to go. And so that was way more impressive. But that also speaks to Jarrett Stidham could do something like that in 2 games. Sean Payton could cook up a good enough game plan in 2 games for Jarrett Stidham. Their defense could do enough in 2 games. So I do think Denver is still completely live doing the Super Bowl. They shouldn't be ruled out, especially with them getting to play
You know
at
what their
home.
odd shift was?
They shifted to plus 1,200.
Gotcha.
So I would imagine it plus 1,000 added on. I'm sure they were like plus 300, give or take.
Gotcha.
I think they're up to plus 1,200 right now.
Is that the worst odds?
It's
gotta be
by
the worst.
far the worst
Yeah.
odds. The next 3 are Seattle is plus. I think Seattle's plus 150, and then Los Angeles and the Patriots are right there, like plus 240. So a significant gap between the 4 teams, but they're completely live. They get to play at home. It's a young quarterback and a first-year coach with this team, and Mike Vrabel. Very young team in New England. They haven't looked perfect. They've looked great defensively, but haven't looked perfect offensively. So I wouldn't rule them out. I do want to say on the record that if they make the Super Bowl, I'm more happy about them making the Super Bowl with Jarrett Stidham than I am with Bo Nix.
Fair.
And
That's crazy.
That might just be a hater take.
I think,
I think
that's
it's a hater take, but
hater take.
I don't hate the hater take. Let me say that.
Y'all a bunch of haters. That's all you are.
I mean, you should be a hater. You're a Chargers fan.
But I picked the Broncos to win the AFC West because I'm a ball knower.
We have proof that says otherwise.